Daniel chapter 3. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 90 feet high, and the breadth of it 9 feet, and he set it up in the plains of Dura in the province of Babylon. And then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent together the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. Then were the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province gathered together unto the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And they stood before the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And a herald cried aloud, To you it is commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image which Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worship, he shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, all the peoples, nations, languages fell down and worshipped the golden image which Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to Nebuchadnezzar the king, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image which thou hast set up. And whoso falleth not down and worship, that he should be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not you serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if you be ready that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image which I have made, well, but if you worship not, you shall be cast the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said unto the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he shall deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and the form of his visage changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was normally heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats and their hoses and their hats and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's command was urgent, and the flame of the fire exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men which took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said, True, O king. He said, Look, I see 4 men, loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. And then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you servants of the Most High God, come forth and come out. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then the princes, the governors, the captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was a hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, neither had the smell of fire passed on them. And then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel, and hath delivered his servants that have trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their own bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any God except their own God. Therefore, I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, for there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon.